Topic number 4 is a good one, and I'm calling it Chiefs no longer. Man, they're getting kicked out of the tribe right now. They are not looking that good. But yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that was predicted to get to the Super Bowl, is just really struggling through their season right now, Pat.
Yeah, over the last probably 3 seasons, the Chiefs have been one of those teams where you're like, put them in as one of those top 2 teams in the AFC, or put them in as a Super Bowl contender. And now this is the first time since Pat Mahomes has been the full-time starter where you're like, are they a playoff team? Are they going to get to the postseason? I mean, they play in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL because now you've got the Chargers, the Raiders. We'll see how they do after this whole Gruden thing, but they've been kind of frisky. So you have a solid, AFC West. Denver's not easy to play against because they have a consistent quarterback now and a really good defense. Excuse me, but they, their defense looks horrible. They don't have the same guys they used to have on defense. They don't have the Eric Berrys anymore, the Derek Johnsons, or their defensive line doesn't have the pass rush that it used to have. So they just don't look right now, and they can't really run the ball. And even though they have this high flying offense, you still need to kind of keep teams honest. It's great that Pat Mahomes can throw a pass behind his back, but they're not hitting those like 5-6 yard out plays or slants where you need to pick up 6 yards on a 3rd and 5 or whatever. And it just seems like that's just not happening right now, and that's their biggest struggle. So they need to kind of go back to basics a little bit, I think. Andy Reid's this innovative play caller, but he kind of needs his team to kind of get back to a little bit of fundamental football. Pat Mahomes can make any kind of throw he wants on the field, but he needs to get back to doing his, 5-7 step drops where he can hit guys, on out balls into the sideline and things like that. So it seems like they've kind of lost their way a little bit. They have the coaching staff to right the ship. Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, those guys can get it done. You have the best quarterback in the NFL still, I think. And you have an elite tight end, an elite receiver, and maybe they'll make a trade at the deadline for a defensive player depending on where their record is. I mean, if they're at a point where they're possibly not a playoff contender, they might not make a move and then just try to reset for next year. But, they still have a ton of season left. They still have plenty of horses to go on a run. But right now, they are trending in the wrong direction.
Definitely trending in the wrong direction. Luckily for them, it's still early enough in the season that they can definitely right the ship, but it has to come. I would say this next game, they have to get a win. They've now put themselves in must-win territory so they can get that confidence back and go on that exact streak that you're saying they're capable of pulling off. And I believe it. I believe that this team is talented enough to still make the playoffs and go on a run with a quarterback like Mahomes and, like you said, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and I'm a huge fan of McCole Hardman as well when you get the ball in his hands. So I think this offense is still lightning right now, but you brought up 2 great points for the Kansas City Chiefs. First, on offense, they've really got no run game that they can rely on, and then they just took an injury with Clyde Hilaire there, which is big for them in their backfield. They don't really have many other stud running backs to go to. They haven't been able to run the ball that well behind that offensive line. So I'm going to say this. If I'm Andy Reid, I've now got to think about putting the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands much more often and throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. And like you said, getting creative with my play calls. Maybe even, like I said, McCole Hardman is such a speedster. Get him in the backfield so you can get the ball into his hands as well. And also maybe help with your running game in that form of like having your wide receiver back there. Or like you said, having these short throws, which sometimes is an extension of the run game, we say, as a coach. And depending on if it's a flare to the wide receiver or a wide receiver screen, or even, like you said, just some of those quick game throws of a slant or a quick in, where we can just get the ball moving, get the ball out of our quarterback's hands quick, and then just, eat some yardage and accumulate some yardage that way. So I do think that this team definitely still has a chance, but defensively, they just look really bad right now. They look stale. They're not, like you said, they're not getting after the passer. On the back end, they're not making any plays. Ty Matthew has not really been making any big plays, which is key for him, I think, as a player. And so I don't know. I think defensively is really where they really need to clean it up. I think that's where they're going to struggle the most in this season. But offensively now, I'm thinking, hey, I've got to score more points because my defense is definitely going to be giving it up. But like I said, if I'm that great coaching staff, like you said, I've got to rely on my number one player right now, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's the guy, you know, when things are going tough, you do lean on your superstars to try to kind of dig you out of it. That's what you pay them the big bucks for. You know, I saw a story this week, too, is that, you know, we talked a few weeks ago about how the Baltimore Ravens are in a tough spot because they, you know, all their running backs are getting hurt. Now, all of a sudden, teams are calling the Ravens to take some of their running backs because they need backs now. And Latavius Murray's been so good, and some of the other guys have been so good filling in for them. You wonder if the Chiefs might even, you know, with Hilaire, who's even more of a kind of a scat back, third down back anyway, would they try to trade for, you know, you look at the Texans who might be selling off at the deadline. Would you trade for like a Mark Ingram or somebody like that who's a between the tackles runner, who runs hard, who's a veteran, who's been in playoff games before? Maybe you trade for a guy like that if it comes cheap, you know, with like a 5th round pick or something like that. Maybe you try to get a guy like that who can help.
David Johnson. David Johnson from the Texans. I think he would be even cheaper, and I think he's still got more left in the tank than Mark Ingram.
Yeah, that's probably even a better option there. He's a good receiver out of the backfield as well. So David Johnson could be the guy as well. So that'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs try to make a move at the deadline for defensive players or for maybe more of a early down running back. Still early, but the Chiefs not looking pretty right now. And that's going to do it for topic number 4.